Tell me why Atlanta's sidewalks looked like the WWE main event mixed with a Bravo reunion special last night. No. Seriously, were we watching Love and Hip Hop or the season finale of Game of Thrones? Because the chaos, the screaming, the receipts, flying through the air like confetti, it was giving reality TV on steroids. Picture this: Bambi and Erica Dixon, two women who haven't shared a peaceful brunch since dial-up internet, locking eyes across flashing lights and screaming fans. And instead of sipping cocktails and pretending to be unbothered like normal celebs, they decided to turn the sidewalk into a boxing ring. Yeah, you heard me, ATL security didn't sign up for this level of cardio. Phones shot up, live streams went wild, and fans were chanting like they just placed bets on DraftKings. And just when you thought it couldn't get any messier, boom, a black SUV pulled up. The door swung open, and the figure who stepped out. Let's just say the entire internet collectively screamed, "Ain't no way." So buckle up, because this isn't just a fight, this is the scandal that might blow up half the love and hip-hop empire. Atlanta had seen its fair share of scandals, but nothing could have prepared the city for the spectacle that erupted between Bambi and Erica Dixon over Lil Scrappy in what fans are already calling one of the wildest public brawls in reality television history, that technically was never filmed for television but felt like it should have been. Because of how every single phone in the crowd lit up and caught every slap, every scream, and every gasp. Like it was a pay-per-view fight night event. And the strange part is, this confrontation was not even scheduled. It was not on a red carpet. It was not at a reunion taping. It was not in a controlled environment. It was raw, it was messy, it was street-level chaos in the heart of the nightlife scene, where old grudges came crashing into each other and exploded in real time. Bambi had been holding on to a lot of resentment ever since rumors started swirling that Scrappy had been sneaking around communicating with Erica again. And fans who have followed this saga from the very beginning know that the triangle between Scrappy, Bambi, and Erica has been toxic fuel for years. The kind of toxic that never goes away but waits for the right night, the right crowd, and the right spark to ignite. Witnesses claim the tension was visible before a single word was exchanged. Bambi was seen pacing near her car heels, clicking like warning shots, while Erica was laughing with friends just a few feet away, and the second their eyes locked, it was like the soundtrack of Atlanta's messiest decade started blasting in the background. Erica raised her eyebrows in that classic, unbothered way she does, the same look that used to cut cast members down during confessionals, and Bambi wasted no time striding over, ready to let the world know she was not about to be disrespected again. Now let's rewind for a second, because to understand why this moment spiraled the way it did, you have to go back to the history that built it. Erica Dixon has always been presented as Scrappy's first true ride or die, the one who held him down. Before the fame, before the VH1 checks, before the tours and the clubs, and even though their romantic relationship crumbled into pieces a long time ago, the bond they share through their daughter has kept Erica permanently in Scrappy's orbit. And let's be honest, Erica has never been shy about reminding Bambi that she was here first. On the other hand, Bambi has built her entire persona on the idea that she won. Scrappy, she conquered the chaos, she made him her husband, and she endured the side eyes, the baby mama drama, and Mama D's unpredictable loyalty switches. That marriage badge is her trophy, and the fact that rumors kept resurfacing about Scrappy possibly sliding back into Erica's good graces was more than enough to send her patience crashing down. So when the shouting started, it was not just about one text message or one rumor, it was about years of shade thrown on Instagram. About backhanded comments at reunions, about cold shoulders at family events, and every single time fans speculated online about whether Scrappy still had lingering feelings for his first love. Erica allegedly shouted something along the lines of, "Girl, you can keep him, but you will never keep his heart," and that was all it took for Bambi to lunge forward like she had been rehearsing this confrontation in the mirror. Witnesses say Erica did not back down for a second. She dropped her bag and squared up like someone who had been waiting for this exact showdown, and the crowd that had been casually minding its own business outside the venue suddenly turned into a roaring audience. Phones raised, voices chanting names like they were courtside at a playoff game. The first shove sent shockwaves through the onlookers, one of those moments where time slows down and everyone realizes they are watching history being made in the most ridiculous reality TV fashion possible. But here is where things flipped from messy to catastrophic, because as Bambi and Erica exchanged blows, someone in the crowd allegedly yelled Scrappy's name, and sure enough, the man himself came stumbling out of the building looking half shocked, half resigned, like he knew deep down this day was inevitable. Scrappy tried to break it up, arms outstretched, pleading for them to stop, but anyone who knows this saga understands that Scrappy has never had the ability to calm these waters, he is the storm, not the peacemaker. The shouting grew louder, accusations started flying. Erica allegedly yelled that Scrappy had been texting her at 2 in the morning, confessing that he regretted everything, while Bambi screamed that Erica was desperate and delusional, and in the background the crowd was eating every syllable like popcorn. And just when it looked like security was about to restore some order, the night took its first shocking twist. A sleek black SUV rolled up, slow headlights cutting through the chaos, and outstepped Mama D herself, draped in fur like she had been waiting backstage for her cue to enter the drama. The crowd erupted, people screaming, "Not Mama D, not right now," as she strutted forward clutching what appeared to be a manila envelope. Mama D has always thrived on spectacle. She is a woman who turns family dinners into reality television gold, and tonight she clearly came prepared. She shouted over the noise, telling everyone that she had receipts, and that the real truth about Scrappy's double life was about to come out right here in the middle of the street. Phones shot higher into the air, fans screamed, and Erica and Bambi froze mid-confrontation because even they knew Mama D with receipts meant trouble on a different level. According to eyewitnesses, Mama D waved the envelope dramatically before pulling out what looked like printed screenshots of alleged conversations between Scrappy and Erica, conversations that suggested not only late-night emotional confessions, but possible financial arrangements and promises that contradicted everything Scrappy had been telling Bambi at home. The gasps from the crowd were loud enough to echo off the surrounding buildings as Erica smirked, vindicated, and Bambi's face hardened into fury. Scrappy tried to grab the papers out of his mother's hand, but Mama D was on a mission, yelling that the people needed to know the truth and that her son could not play both sides forever. Security tried to calm her down, but she was unstoppable, and the crowd was chanting, "Receipts, receipts." Receipts like this was some kind of gladiator match. The scene was spiraling completely out of control at this point. Erica laughing through her anger, Bambi lunging at Scrappy, Mama D waving papers, and fans recording every second like the footage was worth gold. Bloggers were already live streaming, speculating about what the papers really showed, dropping unverified claims in real time, and hashtags started flooding Twitter within minutes. What made it worse was that in the middle of all this noise, one fan shouted out something about Kendra from Young Jock's camp, and somehow, that single name drop shifted the energy. Again, because whispers started moving through the crowd that Kendra had even more dirt and was on her way to the scene. Bambi turned her head for just 1 second at the mention of Kendra, and in that moment the balance of the chaos tilted towards something even bigger than just a street fight. The moment Kendra's name floated through the air, it was as if the crowd collectively understood that the chaos they were witnessing was only the appetizer, because everyone knew that when Kendra gets involved, the secrets get uglier, the accusations hit harder, and the mess becomes a wildfire that spreads far beyond the streets of Atlanta. Bambi's eyes narrowed. She looked around, scanning the faces in the crowd as if expecting Kendra to materialize out of thin air, and Erica crossed her arms, smiling smugly, because if there was one person she believed could validate her claims, it was Kendra, who had a reputation for exposing backdoor deals and late-night tech scandals with surgical precision. Scrappy looked like a man cornered, caught in the crossfire between the three women who had each in their own way shaped his public image and personal downfall, and for a second, it looked like he might collapse under the weight of their combined fury. But then the black SUV that had delivered Mama D to the scene pulled around again, and the back door opened, and there she was, Kendra, stepping out with her phone already in her hand, ready to broadcast herself live to thousands of followers who were waiting to see how she would insert herself into the drama. The crowd erupted again, chants bouncing off buildings, people screaming her name like she was a headliner arriving at a concert, and Bambi shouted over the noise, telling her to go home, while Erica yelled to let her talk because the truth needed to come out. Kendra raised her hand for silence, and believe it or not, the crowd actually quieted for a moment, because this is Atlanta, and when someone promises dirt, everyone listens. Into her phone she began describing how Scrappy had allegedly been juggling women for years, and how receipts existed that proved he had been funneling money out of his joint accounts with Bambi to keep Erica pacified, while simultaneously feeding Mama D cash for her so-called royal projects. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Erica clapped her hands together like she had won the lottery, and Bambi's face twisted with rage as she tried to deny every word, but the problem was, Kendra had proof ready to display on her phone: screenshots, wire transfers, late-night messages filled with apologies and explanations that painted Scrappy as a man caught in his own web of lies. The crowd leaned in, phones zooming, screens capturing every pixel, while Scrappy shouted that the screenshots were fake, insisting that people were out to destroy him. But Mama D doubled down, waving her envelope again and screaming that she had the hard copies to match. What made the entire moment spiral further was how the bystanders began acting like commentators on a reality reunion show, some shouting Team Erica, some shouting Team Bambi, while others laughed and filmed as if this was pure entertainment rather than the collapse of several lives happening in real time. At one point, Erica allegedly shouted that Bambi's entire marriage was built on lies and the only reason she stayed was because of the VH1 check, while Bambi fired back that Erica was bitter because she would never be more than a baby mama on the sidelines. Scrappy tried to separate them again, but each time he stepped between them, another accusation landed, either about money or betrayal or infidelity, and each time his credibility sank lower in the eyes of the people watching. Meanwhile, Kendra continued to pour gasoline on the fire, alleging that Scrappy had confided in her about feeling trapped by both women and wishing he could escape the circus altogether, but being too dependent on the financial security of his storyline to walk away. The shocking part is that while all this was happening, multiple live streams were running simultaneously, so the internet was watching in real time, turning Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok into battlegrounds of speculation, memes, and hot takes. Within 30 minutes, hashtags were trending nationally, fans arguing over who was telling the truth and who was manipulating the narrative, some insisting that Bambi had every right to defend her marriage, while others cheered Erica on for finally exposing years of deceit. Clips of Mama D dramatically waving papers went viral within seconds, being remixed into songs and GIFs, while others compared her to a prosecutor dropping evidence in the middle of a trial. The chaos in the streets was now a full-blown digital phenomenon, with blogs updating by the minute and YouTube personalities already preparing their breakdowns of the footage. But the drama did not stop at words, because once Kendra revealed she had access to financial documents that tied Scrappy to questionable business deals, whispers started spreading that this might go beyond reality TV level scandal and tip into something darker, like potential fraud or tax issues. The crowd audibly reacted when she mentioned dollar amounts, suggesting that Scrappy had moved tens of thousands of dollars between accounts in ways that looked suspicious, and suddenly this was not just a messy fight between exes and a wife, this was possibly the beginning of a legal storm. Bambi's face reportedly drained of color as she realized her name might be tied to accounts under investigation, and Erica smirked even harder, as if to say karma was finally circling back. Mama D, meanwhile, shouted that she had warned them all along that Scrappy was reckless with money and that no one listened to her because they thought she was only about drama. By now, police sirens were audible in the distance because someone in the surrounding chaos had called in reports of a public disturbance, and instead of cooling the situation, it only escalated the energy further because the crowd knew things were about to get even messier. People scrambled to stay in place and capture the moment, cops arriving while the three women shouted over each other, and Scrappy desperately tried to calm things down. Erica pointed at him, screaming that he would finally have to answer for what he had done, while Bambi shouted that she was not going to jail over his mistakes, and Kendra gleefully narrated to her live audience that this was the downfall of an empire built on lies. The crowd roared again as two squad cars pulled up, lights flashing, and officers stepped out trying to assess what in the world they had just walked into. The officers attempted to separate everyone, but the shouting carried on, accusations flying about secret bank accounts, hidden properties, offshore deals, and even alleged payoffs to keep certain scandals out of the media. Whether any of it was true, no one could confirm, but the sheer volume of details pouring out made the scene feel less like a street fight and more like the live collapse of a dynasty. Scrappy looked cornered on all sides, his mother, his wife, his ex, and now his alleged confidant, all turning against him publicly, while the internet documented every second. And just as an officer tried to lead him aside to get his statement, the crowd suddenly gasped louder than before because another figure had stepped out of the shadows, someone no one expected to see on this night in this place, and their arrival changed everything. The crowd froze for a split second when the figure emerged from the shadows, because the energy shifted in an instant, and whispers raced like wildfire through the sea of phones and flashing lights as everyone recognized who it was stepping calmly but confidently into the chaos, and that figure was none other than Shay Johnson, whose history with Scrappy is so entangled in old betrayals, heartbreak, and explosive arguments that her arrival felt less like coincidence and more like destiny unfolding. In front of stunned witnesses who could barely process that all the key women from Scrappy's past and present had gathered in one place, ready to unleash years of resentment in broad daylight. Shay tilted her head, smiling coldly at Bambi, then glanced at Erica before finally letting her eyes rest on Scrappy, who looked like he had just seen a ghost, and the silence that fell over the crowd in that moment was heavier than all the shouting that had come before, because everyone knew Shay's reputation for holding grudges and never missing an opportunity to reclaim the spotlight. With deliberate steps she approached, and in a voice dripping with sarcasm, she asked if this was what Scrappy meant when he promised her peace years ago, because what she was witnessing looked less like peace and more like the implosion of an empire. And the instant she said it, the crowd erupted again, shouting, laughing, and urging her to spill more. Shay pulled out her phone too, because apparently no one in this saga is capable of handling drama without live streaming it, and announced to thousands of viewers that she had been sitting on secrets for years, waiting for the perfect moment to release them. And tonight, with the police lights flashing and the women circling Scrappy like lions around prey, she felt it was finally time. Bambi immediately shouted at her, calling her irrelevant. Erica folded her arms, smirking, because she knew Shay's words would cut deep, and Kendra positioned her camera so the world could see every detail of the meltdown. Mama D clapped her hands like she was witnessing a courtroom victory, yelling that she always knew the truth would come out, and Scrappy himself tried to stop Shay from speaking, but the crowd drowned him out, demanding receipts, demanding names, demanding every detail she had held back. Shay revealed that Scrappy had promised her things long after he was supposedly committed to both Erica and Bambi, claiming that he not only used her for emotional support but also pulled her into shady financial dealings that could now come back to haunt him. She mentioned late-night meetings in hotels, cash payments made off the record, and whispered about documents hidden in storage units that could reveal just how messy Scrappy's financial empire really was. The officers on scene looked completely overwhelmed, because this was no longer just a street dispute. It had spiraled into a full-scale public unraveling of personal and financial scandals, with witnesses recording from every angle and blogs preparing headlines faster than reporters. At an election, the officers tried to calm everyone down, instructing them to separate, but each attempt was met with louder accusations and wilder claims, and the crowd only pressed in closer, desperate not to miss a second of what was unfolding before them. Then Shay dropped the line that sent the internet into overdrive when she declared that Scrappy was not just guilty of lying and cheating, but of betraying the very women who had built his image and sacrificed their dignity for him to keep pretending to be a king, when in reality he was nothing more than a pawn trapped in his own lies. Gasps, screams, and laughter erupted. Erica shouted amen at the top of her lungs. Bambi lunged forward before being held back. Kendra narrated like she was an anchor covering a scandal live on cable news, and Mama D waved her papers, again insisting this was exactly why she called herself the Queen, because she always knew how the game ended. By now the police threatened to make arrests if everyone did not calm down, but the energy was too volatile, the accusations too damning, the emotions too raw and still. Scrappy looked like a man on the verge of collapse, muttering denials, shaking his head, begging the women to stop, but none of them showed mercy, because this was years of pent-up betrayal exploding all at once. Meanwhile, online the story had already grown bigger than Atlanta, trending worldwide, with fans dissecting every clip, turning Shay's quote into memes, and speculating whether this was the downfall of not just Scrappy but the entire Love and Hip Hop franchise. Entertainment sites reported the drama as if it were breaking. National news blogs published timelines of Scrappy's entanglements, and Twitter users demanded to know if VH1 cameras were secretly rolling, because no scripted reunion special had ever reached this level of raw chaos. Some fans expressed sympathy for Bambi, trapped in a marriage that now looked toxic from every angle, while others cheered Erica for her persistence and applauded Shay for finally entering the battlefield to deliver her version of the truth. The financial allegations, however, caught the attention of more than just fans, because within hours rumors began circulating that investigators were looking into possible fraud connected to Scrappy's accounts, with whispers that federal authorities might already have their eyes on the transactions Kendra and Shay referenced. The idea that a messy street fight could trigger something as serious as a financial probe only heightened the tension, and Bambi's frantic shouts that she had nothing to do with any shady money transfers rang hollow to some ears, especially as Shay alleged that Bambi had once signed off on paperwork without even knowing where the funds were going. Erica laughed so hard she doubled over, declaring that karma had finally arrived, while Mama D pointed at Scrappy, yelling that he was dragging the whole family down. Scrappy himself looked exhausted, pleading that people were exaggerating, twisting facts, and trying to ruin him, but his words were drowned out by the crowd's hunger for spectacle, as the officers finally pushed through, separating the group and threatening handcuffs. If the shouting continued, a strange calm settled for just a moment, but the damage had already been done, because the scandal was no longer confined to one street. In Atlanta, it had exploded into a national conversation about fame. money, betrayal, and the blurred line between entertainment and reality. Shay stood there defiantly, phone still recording, promising her viewers that she was not done, and more receipts would surface soon, and that declaration left the crowd buzzing with anticipation. Because everyone knew this story was not ending here. It was only escalating, and the fallout would ripple across families' careers, and maybe even the law itself. The cameras kept rolling, the lights kept flashing, and Scrappy, surrounded by the women who each carried a piece of his past, looked more trapped than ever, as if the walls of his carefully constructed world were crumbling brick by brick, and all anyone could do was watch in fascination as the spectacle consumed him entirely. So after everything we just witnessed, the chaos, the screaming, the receipts, the accusations, and the downright jaw-dropping revelations, one thing is absolutely clear. This saga is nowhere near finished, because what went down on that Atlanta sidewalk was not just a fight, it was the unraveling of secrets that could shake the very foundation of the love and hip-hop universe, and honestly maybe even Scrappy's entire career and personal life. So the only question that matters now is what happens next. Will Bambi finally cut ties once and for all, or will she double down and defend the man she fought for in front of the whole world? Will Erica use this moment as the ultimate vindication, proving that all her years of warnings were true, and will Shay follow through on her promise to unleash more receipts that could push this drama from messy reality television to front-page news? And most importantly, how will Scrappy himself survive this storm? Because right now he looks like a man out of options and out of allies, but you already know this is only the beginning, so hit that like button, drop your wildest predictions in the comments, and subscribe right now, because when the next explosion hits you will want to be here first.